Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today we're going to be doing something quite unusual. This is a classic Sudoku, and we get a lot of requests on the channel to just publish or to showcase more classics. And we're always on the lookout for good quality handcrafted classic Sudokus, but they tend to be slightly harder to come by. Now this one has come in by email, and I'll test to say it is a brilliant puzzle, and it's by Rimu Takamura. I don't know where it was originally published, I confess, but it might be Nicoli, and if it's Nicoli, then I'd like to credit them. So James, who sent us the email, do send us confirmation if it is Nicoli, because Nicoli is wonderful and they deserve all the praise in the world. Now I have a confession to make before we get started on this puzzle. This is not the first video attempt I have made today. I did first of all try this puzzle, which is it's an incredibly beautiful idea, also a classic Sudoku. It's by Philip Newman and it's called Tatooine Sunset. I'm sure if you're following the channel for a while, you know I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I just love the idea of this sort of sand dunes at the bottom and the twin moons of Tatooine above. Now what happened? Well, I gave this a good 20 minutes. I made some good progress. I found some brilliant logic. I was so pleased with myself, and then I spent about 10 minutes getting absolutely nowhere. I was totally and utterly stuck, and in the end I had to stop the video because I just wasn't solving it in any sort of time that would have been interesting to watch. So a big apology to Philip. Many of you often ask us, how many puzzles do you fail on? It's not that many, and we tend not to advertise it when we do because I feel guilty about letting down the constructors. But I did fail on this puzzle. I have got my partial solution, so I'm going to try and finish it later on tonight. And if I do manage to do it, maybe I'll put a bonus solve up on Patreon or something at some stage, because I would like to give the puzzle some credit. And I think it's probably a brilliant puzzle. I can tell you this: it's not an easy puzzle. The logic I have found was brutally hard repeatedly. But in the end it got the better of me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to this puzzle under the video as well. So if you want to beat me, if you wanted to solve a puzzle that I couldn't solve, you will have every opportunity, and do let me know in the comments how you get on with it. And as I say, sorry again, Philip. Let's go back to Rimu's puzzle. Here we go. I think reading the rules today is going to be very easy. Before I do that though, just to say, tomorrow I know a number of you are waiting for Scott Strossar's Puzzle Hunt, which is going to be coming out for anyone who is a patron of the channel over on Patreon. We're aiming to let that go live at 3 o'clock UK time tomorrow. So if you are somebody who is anxious to get hold of it as soon as you can, and perhaps to solve it as quickly as you can, 3 o'clock tomorrow UK time is the time to be checking your emails. If you're not a patron of the channel and you enjoy the content, please consider it. It's a couple of bucks a month, and we do try and make it worthwhile. Now let's get on to this. Normal Sudoku rules apply. That's all you need to know. If you want to play it, click the link under the video. With that, I get to play. Let's get cracking for the second time today. Right, there's a 5 there. That's a 5 there. 5's in one of those two squares. Oh, 5's here and here. That's got to be that's got to be a 5. That finishes the 5 down there. I think we're going to get all the 5s as sort of a gift from the constructor here. That's a very pleasant way to start. 4, look, that's got to go in here. In fact, 4s are also looking interesting. Look at the 4s there. So this is a 4. This is a 4. This is a 4. This is a 4. And I think that's a 4. So 4s and 5s are incredibly productive and not too difficult. Those squares have got to be 1, 6 and 9, look. Can eliminate 9 from this one. 1, 6, 9. 6 therefore is locked into one of 2 places in the central box. Okay, so threes. Look, all the threes seem to be locked at the bottom of the grid. Absolutely no ones in the grid. Very few twos. Fours and fives are done, so let's have a look at sixes now, I think. Yeah, a little bit of a restriction in box 3. These sixes ruling out those squares, so there must be a 6 in one of those two. Ah, okay, that's good. With this 1, 6, 9 triple in column 4, ruling a 6 out from that square, this is the only position in box 2 that a 6 can go into. That gives us a 6 here. That gives us more sixes. Yeah, this is definitely... I've definitely made more progress on this one than I did on Tatooine Sunset. These squares have got to be 1 and 3 to complete this column. Okay, so let's try. We've done sixes. Let's have a look at 7. 7 must be in one of those two squares. 7's in one of these two squares. Ah, so 7 goes here. And in one of those two cells. You'll see with classic Sudoku, I tend to be quite rigid with myself in terms of I won't put corner pencil marks in to more than 2 positions in a cell, in a box. In variant Sudoku, I quite often do, but in classics, I try and keep the pencil marks down a little bit more. Now, there's a little bit of logic we can do with this 7. This 7 is ruling a 7 out from this cell, which means that the 7 in box 1 must be in that 2 by 2 region. Now if we scan down to box 4, the 7 in box 4 is also in column 1 and column 2. So we can say that we now know that the 7 in column 3 must be in box 7 here, and therefore it must be in one of those two positions. Now, can we keep going with 7s, or are we going to run out of things to do? I think we're going to run out of things to do, aren't we? So let's have a look at 8s then. So we have got some 8s in the grid. Oh, yeah, these two are probably the best. Look, they limit those positions. So 8 must be in one of those squares, therefore 8 must go here. So 8's in one of these two cells. Can we do any more? Yeah, we can. Because this square can't be an 8 and this square can't be an 8, 8 must be in one of those two. So again, we can continue on our way with 8s. 8s in this bottom box have got to be offset in those two cells. Okay, let's look at 9. So we have got some 9s in the grid. 9 has got to be in one of those two cells, so it's got to be in one of these two cells. One of those two as well. Ah, one of those two, that's more useful. That gets rid of that one as a 9, and just following our pencil marks through gets us somewhere. So now in this column we need 1, 2 and 8. Ah, that square, look, sees a 2 and an 8 in the row, so that's got to be a 1. There's a 2-8 pair at the top and bottom of column 7. And this 1 is the first 1 we've placed in the grid. And if we scan across, we need 3, 7 and 9 into those positions. That one can only be 3 or 7. That one can only be 7 or 9, and this that one can be any of them. Let's put in the options anyway. 3, 7, 9. It's got to be a 2 in one of those two squares. Okay. Okay, so now it's really a case of guessing where the most productive place to look is going to be. Maybe have a look at row 5 of the grid, where we need 1, 2, 3 and 9 to finish the row. Now, is there any... Actually, there is this 9 here is a little bit interesting. Locks a 9 into one of two positions in row 5. Oh no, that's no, 9 can't go here because of this triple. I should have spotted that actually. Look, this 9 9 gives us a 9 in the box. That gives us a 9 over here. So these are a 1 2 3 triple now. These are a 1 2 3 triple in box 6. Now that's interesting. Look at that. So we've now got a 1 2 3 triple in row 4, which means that square must be a 7. It's the only thing it can be. This square is a 1 2 or a 3. And it can't be a 3 because of the 3 there. So there's a 3 in one of these two, so this is not a 3. Okay. So this square's got to be 1 or 7, look, just to complete this box. There's a 2 3 in the column. This is a 1 6 9, so that can't be a 1, so we get 2 here. 1 3 pair, so we get 2 here. So far, this is not 2 anymore. This has got to be 1 3 or 7 and can't be 1, so that's 3 or 7, making a pair in this column. Pair in this column. Oh, okay, I tried something there, it's failed miserably, but I will just outline something I noticed. As I was scanning across here, you can see that the 3 is locked into one of 2 positions in row 6. Now I notice this 3 here. So if I look at column 8, look, the 3 in column 8 is locked into one of those 2 positions. And this gives us this interesting pincers and pivots pattern that sometimes you see in Sudoku. It's a very easy thing to spot once you get used to it. But even computer solvers don't think about Sudoku this way, and therefore they quite often miss what is a simple trick. It's completely useless here, by the way. I don't even know why I'm telling you, but I will just run through the logic as if it wasn't useless, because the pattern is interesting. So let's just highlight those squares. Now the key thing to realise is that this box sort of acts as an anchor for these 3s. So either this is a 3, and if it's not, we know for sure, because there's only 2 positions for the 3 in row 6, that this would be a 3. And if this is a 3, because there are only 2 positions for a 3 in column 8, this would be a 3. So we actually, and we can reverse that logic by comparing, we can say, is this a 3? And if it's not, what happens is this is a 3. So we actually are able to say with certainty that one of these 2 orangey brown squares in the finished grid must contain a 3. And therefore, what we do in this situation is we'd look at this square and know that this couldn't be a 3. So a knowledge bomb from Cracking the Cryptic, a 4 cannot equal a 3. But hopefully you get the point of this, which is, imagine there wasn't a 4 here and this square was open. We would have been able to eliminate a 3 from it. Anyway, that's all a bit of a diversion. Let's get back to actually trying to solve the puzzle. Sorry. But this idea of looking at digits that can only go into 2 positions in a row or column sits at the sort of fundamental, it's fundamental to so many of the advanced Sudoku techniques, whether it's empty rectangles or skyscrapers or X-wings. You have to get used to spotting where a number can only go in 2 positions in a row or column. Now, so obvious things like this 2 and 8. This 2 and 8 can only go in 2 positions in column 7. So one thing we could do is look for 2s and 8s and whether we can limit 2s and 8s in a useful way in any other column of the grid. I'm just looking at that now and not getting very far on the right hand side. It's 2 8 here, that's annoying. Oh well, there's an X-wing on 2s because of this 2. Yeah, let's look at this. Okay, so we've got 2s in those positions. Now where can the 2s go in column 1? This 2 here rules a 2 out from that square. So you can see from the pencil marking I've already done that these two squares can't contain a 2. So the only positions for the 2's in column 1 are the identical sort of rows to where we've locked them in column 7. So this is an X-wing, and what does an X-wing mean? Well, although this is a restriction on the position of 2's in the columns, the effect of the X-wing is on the rows, because we now know that in the finished solution, when we look at the finished solution of this puzzle, imagine this square was a 2 in the finished solution. Where would the 2 go in column 1? It would have to go there. So there's one possibility, is that the finished solution shows 2's in those two cells. Now what if this isn't a 2 in the finished solution? Well, there's only one other possibility, and that would mean that's got to be the 2 in column 7. But that would mean that has to be the 2 in column 1. So hopefully you can see that there's this X pattern. The 2's are either on this flank of the X, or they're on this flank of the X. Now why does that matter? Well, if we know that there's always a 2 on one sort of side of the X, then there can never be 2's in any other position in the rows. Because the 2 will either be here or here. The 2 will either be here or here, and therefore the rest of the row can't have a 2 in it. And I mean, perhaps the easiest way to think about that is to try it. Let's put a 2 there. What would the effect of that be on the X-wing? Well, it removes the 2 from there, so that you'd have to put a 2 there in column 7, and it removes the 2 from here, so you'd have to put a 2 there in column 1, and you'd clearly have 2 2's in the row. So that is why we can't put 2's into any of these cells. Now let's colour those in and see if they're useful. So that one couldn't have been a 2 anyway, completely useless. This one couldn't have been, maybe this is total wild goose chase as well. So 2's can't go in those squares. We do get at least there's some value to that. So these squares have to be 3, 6 and 8, I think. Yeah, okay, so they're 3, 6 and 8, and this one can't be 8. And I'm getting 3, 6 and 8 because I'm looking at the box, which has already got 1, 4, 5, 7, 9. I know I can remove the 2 because of the X-wing, so there are only 3 digits that are left for those two cells. So these are 3, 6 and 8. Don't know. Right, this one. This one can be... Actually, this one is more... This is a bit limited, isn't it? Actually, this square was a bit limited already because from the column it could only be 1, 2, 3 or 6. And from the row it can't be 3. So this had 1, 2, 6 as an option before the X-wing, which removes the 2. So this is a 1 or a 6. So maybe this one. Yeah, good. Okay, there is something here. There's a 1, 6 pair. Because look at this column. The missing digits are 1, 2, 3, 6 and 7. Well, 3 and 7 there, so the missing digits are 1, 2 and 6 again. But we've just said this can't be a 2, so it's a 1 or a 6, and therefore it finds a friend. 1, 6 pair in row 9, that square is a 9. Now this 9 might be important. Because look... We're going to get somewhere now with where the 9 goes in this box. It can't go here anymore. So it must go there. And now all of a sudden, yeah, now that's got to be a 9. That's got to be a 7. And this 7 looks... Well, not only does that mean that square is a 1 to complete the column, but this 7... It's giving me this digit as a 3, and I'm seeing all sorts of things going off the back of this. Look, 7, 1, 3, 1. These two squares now are far more restricted than they were. They have to be 7 and 8. There's a 7 there. So these two squares have got to be 2 and 3. Okay, that's not quite done, but this is certainly feels like good progress all of a sudden, doesn't it? So 2, 3, 6 and 8. This 3 here locks this to be a 3. This 3, oh, this 3 here is going to do everything. Look, it gets rid of a 3 from here. It gets rid of a 2, it forces this to be a 2. That gives me a 1, 2 pair. This is now an 8. Now, once this is an 8, this affects our X-Wing, because now we know that the 2s on the X-Wing are not on this diagonal. So they must both be on the other diagonal. We can fill them in immediately, which gives us a 3, gives us a 3 and the 1. That's forcing this to be a 6, that's to be a 1, that's a 6, that's a 3. Yeah, and I'm hoping now that this puzzle, I am going to be able to get through for you, which is, at least it makes me feel better about myself. Now, don't speak too soon, Simon. I need a 2 in there, so that's 2 and 7. That's a 7. That looks like it's an 8. I think I've filled in all the squares. Yes, that's how to solve that puzzle. Beautiful puzzle, beautiful puzzle. And yeah, well worth looking at with some interesting logic. Some absolutely useless logic involving pincers and pivots, and an X-Wing that was actually incredibly useful and basically busted open the whole puzzle. So hope you enjoyed it. Classic Sudoku for a change. And we'll be back later. I think Mark's doing a variant this evening. So if you're feeling left out and you want your variant Sudoku, don't worry, we've got that covered. And see you next time on Cracking the Cryptic.